If God is dead, as Nietzsche once declared, then who still whispers in the dark? Because evil didn't disappear, cruelty didn't vanish, and temptation still knocks. So the question isn't just, does the devil exist? It's deeper. What is the devil, really? For some, he's a red-skinned cartoon with horns and a pitchfork. For others, a fallen angel cast down for pride. To some, a metaphor. To others, a presence they've felt in rooms where no one else was breathing. But whether you believe in him or not, you've already met him. Because the devil isn't just a figure, he's a pattern, a voice, a logic. That doesn't scream, but seduces. He doesn't drag you into hell, he convinces you to build it yourself. Let's begin where most do. Religion. In the Christian tradition, the devil is Lucifer, the light bearer, the rebel, the one who said no to God. Not because he wanted chaos, but because he wanted independence. The devil wasn't created evil. He chose it freely. That's important, because evil in Scripture is rarely portrayed as madness. It's intelligence without compassion, freedom without responsibility, power without restraint. In Islam, he's Iblis, a being of fire who refused to bow to Adam. Out of pride, not ignorance, pride. In Judaism, Satan means the accuser, the one who tests, who challenges, who confronts. And even there, his role isn't purely demonic. He plays a part in the order of things. He exposes what's weak. He tempts what's unguarded. He reveals what you try to hide. So the devil is not always chaos. Sometimes he's clarity. He shows you who you are when no one's watching. And that's why he terrifies us. The devil isn't just outside you, he's the part of you that questions everything sacred, not out of curiosity, but out of resentment. He's the one who says, you deserve this. No one will know. They had it coming. He's the rationalization. That feels too perfect to resist. Philosophers have struggled with this idea. If evil is real, is it a force, a figure, or just human nature with no mask? C.S. Lewis once said, the safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turns, without signposts. The devil doesn't crash into your life, he drips in, through compromises, through silence, through delay. He is not violent, he is convenient. And that makes him harder to resist, because we don't fear what comforts us, even when it's killing us slowly. So, does the devil exist? That depends on what you're looking for. If you expect fire, horns, and sulfur, maybe not. But if you've ever watched a good person justify something wicked, if you've ever caught yourself doing what you said you never would, if you've ever chosen comfort over conscience, then yes, you've met him. The devil doesn't live underground, he lives in the mind. Not as a myth, but as a mechanism. Because the most dangerous evil isn't what attacks you, it's what seduces you from within. Carl Jung didn't believe in Satan as a literal figure, but he understood something far darker, that each of us carries a devil inside. He called it the shadow dash, the part of the psyche you refuse to acknowledge, the anger you suppress, the jealousy you justify, the cruelty you laugh off, the darkness you project onto others, but deny in yourself. That is a psychological devil. You think you're a good person, but you forget the lies you tell, the thoughts you hide, the impulses you dismiss. Jung wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. We don't destroy our lives because of monsters. We destroy them because of the parts of ourselves we refuse to confront. That's where the devil lives, in denial, not in rage, but in repression, not in chaos, but in your need to appear innocent. He's in your justifications, your excuses, your silence. The shadow doesn't need to be evil. It just needs to be ignored. And once ignored, it begins to act on its own. Sigmund Freud said something similar. He believed the mind was divided into three parts: the id, ego, and superego. The id wants, the ego negotiates, the superego judges. And when the id is denied, when our rawest instincts are repressed, they don't disappear, they mutate, they return as neurosis, addiction, aggression. Your inner devil isn't the desire itself. It's what that desire becomes after being buried too long. Dostoyevsky went even deeper. In The Brothers Karamazov, he showed a character haunted by a hallucinated devil, not a demon with fire, a well-dressed, smug intellectual, whispering doubts, sarcasm, and contempt. The devil in Dostoyevsky's world isn't loud. He's clever. He doesn't scream sin. He whispers, "You deserve this." Why not? Dostoyevsky believed man doesn't sin out of ignorance. He sins out of defiance. If God is dead, he warned, then everything is permitted. Not because man seeks freedom, but because man seeks permission to indulge without guilt. The devil, then, is the archetype of that permission. He is not the villain in your nightmares. He is the whisper in your mind that turns your pain into an excuse to hurt others. He's not a beast. He's a mirror, reflecting the parts of you pretend aren't there. That's why the devil survives, even when belief in God fades. Because psychology has proven what religion always suspected: the devil isn't outside of you. He's a part of you that refuses the truth. And truth, as we know, is the first thing we abandon when desire takes over. The devil doesn't force you, he invites you. He doesn't demand, he suggests. He doesn't chain you. He whispers, "You're free now, do whatever you want." And that is far more dangerous. Because the devil isn't about possession, he's about permission. He doesn't show you hell. He hands you the match. He makes sure it was your idea to strike it. In religion, the devil is often seen as the enemy of God. But in philosophy, he's something subtler. He's what happens when freedom loses its compass, when you can do anything, but no longer ask, what's worth doing? Friedrich Nietzsche didn't believe in Satan, but he understood evil in its most terrifying form: chosen, conscious, free. He wrote, "Man is the cruelest animal, not because he's violent by nature, but because he's aware of his violence and justifies it anyway." Nietzsche believed modern man killed God, not out of enlightenment, but out of convenience, because a dead God means no accountability. And without accountability, freedom feels endless. But endless freedom doesn't lead to peace, it leads to emptiness. So the devil, in Nietzsche's view, is not a supernatural being, it's what remains. When man creates his own values with no higher reference, when morality is replaced with impulse, when virtue is rebranded as weakness, when cruelty becomes just another form of power. Baudelaire took it further. He wrote, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist." That's not about theology, it's about camouflage. The devil no longer hides in shadows, he hides in slogans, in desires that sound empowering, but are rooted in destruction, and decisions that look like liberation, but rot from the inside. Freedom is beautiful, but the devil doesn't destroy it, he weaponizes it. he makes you think. There's no difference between freedom and indulgence, between autonomy and abandonment. Real evil isn't red and glowing. It's charming. It's articulate. It looks like confidence and sounds like self-love, but it's hollow because it wants the right without the responsibility. And that's not freedom. That's collapse. The devil is every time. You know what's right and choose what's easy. Every moment you sacrifice meaning for momentum. Every time you call your weakness a lifestyle. And that's the secret. The devil doesn't want to own you. He wants you to own your fall and call it progress. He wants you to smile while you destroy yourself, because then you won't even notice. We imagine evil as something monstrous, a tyrant, a serial killer, a war criminal. But most evil doesn't come from monsters. It comes from ordinary people doing what feels justified. You want to see the devil? Don't look at cruelty. Look at self-deception. Because the devil's favorite disguise is moral certainty. He doesn't need you to become a villain. He just needs you to believe you're the hero no matter what you're doing. That's why Jung warned, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. The more righteous someone appears, the more likely they are to be hiding something terrifying underneath. Not because they're evil, but because they've disowned their own darkness. They don't lie. They rationalize. They don't hate. They defend values. They don't abuse. They set boundaries. And slowly, they become what they claim to hate. Hannah Arendt called this the banality of evil. She studied the minds behind the Holocaust. What she found was not fire-breathing monsters, but bureaucrats, clerks, men with families, paper pushers, who told themselves, I was just doing my job. I didn't decide this. I had no choice. They didn't feel like devils. They felt like cogs. And that is where real evil grows. The devil isn't in rage. He's in compliance. He doesn't scream. He explains. He doesn't attack. He excuses. He wears a name tag. He smiles politely, and he waits for you to follow orders you don't believe in because you're afraid to stand alone. How does evil survive? Not through hatred, through comfort. People will do unspeakable things if it means they don't have to lose their job, or their image, or their peace. That's the devil in you, the voice that says dash, dash. It's not your problem. Just let it go. Someone else will stop it. Don't get involved. And when you listen, when you look away, when you let injustice breathe, because silence feels safer, you become his accomplice, not with violence, but with indifference. You don't need to be malicious to do harm. You just need to be passive, detached, too focused on yourself to feel someone else's pain. The devil thrives when good people stay busy. That's why he doesn't come with horns. He comes with reasons, with distractions, with just enough distance for you to believe you're not responsible, but you are. Because every time you choose comfort over conscience, you hand him your voice. You don't need to hunt for demons. Just look in the mirror. When you justify what you'd never tolerate in someone else, that's where he lives. Not as a curse, not as a possession, but as your unexamined permission. Maybe the devil doesn't exist. Not as a being, not as a myth, not as an enemy outside of you. Maybe the devil is what appears. The moment you stop being honest with yourself, with others, with your silence, the devil is not a presence. He's an absence dash of responsibility, of self-awareness, of moral courage. He's not waiting in hell. He's living in our excuses. And yet, That might be the most hopeful truth of all. Because if the devil isn't out there, then he doesn't control you. If he's in you, then so is the power to face him, to name him, to disarm him, to stop hiding behind your comfort, your fear, your alibis. Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." You don't destroy the devil. By ignoring him, you destroy him. By acknowledging he was never real, only your reflection, distorted by denial. So the question isn't, does the devil exist? The real question is, do you have the courage to meet him in your own shadow and not flinch? Share this video with someone who keeps running from the darkness inside themselves. Comment below, "I choose to see my shadow. I take responsibility." Because hell isn't a place, it's a decision made over and over again in silence. And so is freedom. The journey continues in the next video. We don't just fight demons, we outgrow them, one act of awareness at a time.